numbers is supposed to be anywhere from 40 to 45 million of us in this country. That's what they report. We know that's a bunch of BS anyways. Had Roe versus Wade not ever taken effect, you probably have 80 to 100 million black people in this country right now. Don't sit here and tell me that would not make a damn difference in our political structure, our family structure, and everything else. Hell no. We are a group of people. We did not originate nowhere in the black diaspora in this world have black people ever came up with the idea of killing their damn own kids. Never. This is a learned behavior. This is something that's been pushed on us. This is not who we are as a people. We don't sit up here and murder babies and sit up here and tell you that that's a woman's right. What happened to the damn daddy's right? What happened to that baby's right to live? Over there in China, when y'all was taking babies and throwing them over the cliff saying we don't want these little girls and this and that, you had a bunch of Americans, the same ones that backed abortion in this country, sat up here and told you that, hey, China was being savage. China was not being, China is behind in the times. China is doing this and that to babies. So it's okay to kill all babies over here in this country, but over in China, they shouldn't kill little girls, is what you're saying. Or let me guess. Since the baby was actually healed outside the mother's womb, then that baby's actually a baby, and yet the baby that the mother's carrying is not a baby. We come up with all kind of BS terms. Oh, this is a fetus. Oh, until they get their arms showing, until they get this and that, all kind of BS crap to sit up here and try to say that this is not an actual living child, to push some damn agenda. Almost kind of reminds you back during slavery times, 3/5 of a human being. The wording and the BS that we use in this country, man, is just unbelievable. It's ridiculous. And we as a people done went along with this crap. We have helped push these people's agenda. You can find the most downtrodden people in the world and get them to back some dumbass agenda, then everybody backs it. They're like, well, black people said it's okay, so, black people ain't really got nothing. And if it's okay for black people and if they say it's okay, no, 5 times as many black women, they say, have aborted their babies as white women. 5 times. NAACP today, or yesterday, had an article out, and NAACP was talking about how this was going to be detrimental to black women's health and this and that. Listen, I will be the first to say that if a woman has a child that she's carrying, if that child impacts her health, where that child may kill her, then yes, you have to terminate the pregnancy if it's going to kill a mother. I'm not going to sit here and say that if a woman you had a case of incest or a woman was sexually assaulted and she's pregnant, that she shouldn't have a right to determine if she wants to keep that child. But let's be real here. Let's be very real here. Those are the exceptions. That is not the rule in abortion. Most women are not sexually assaulted that are pregnant. Most women are not have a case of incest. Most women's health are not impacted to the point that they're going to die while they're carrying a child. That is a damn exception. That is not the rule. And the NAACP is sitting up here. They can sit up here and talk about this. I can already see how this is going to impact the midterm elections. I can already see how this is going to impact the 2024 presidential election, because now they're going to use the COVID and they're going to use this here as their mouthpiece to go ahead and push the agenda. Y'all need to come on out there. Already told y'all need to come on out there and vote and get this back in line. Nah, man, damn that. I ain't heard y'all say nothing about no black empowerment yet, NAACP. Ray, go ahead and unmute your mic.
What's going on, brother? Obviously, I just want to thank you for this space. I sent you a DM personally, so I just wanted you to thank you for bringing this very serious matter up. I mean, this is just going crazy. Like you said, a lot of the things I definitely agree with, and it's just crazy to me that the same people that, not that long ago were saying, mandatory vaccine with vaccinations now are the same people that are screaming, my body, my choice.
Absolutely. I want to also thank Donovan for his contribution on Cash App to the new black media and to the largest black news aggregator of content in America today, Newstoter.com. Absolutely. Think about it. How many of us can even go to school without having vaccinations? You have to have X amount of shots in most of these places to go to a public school. So don't sit here and say that, well, it's your body and this and that. And you can't always do what you want to do. These people telling us if you want to go to school here, you got to have this shot by the 2nd grade. You got to have this shot by the 3rd grade. You got to have this shot by the 7th grade. Like I said, I don't have a problem. And I feel for any woman that has had that make that decision about abortion. I feel for any woman that has actually had an abortion, because it's a horrible thing. It's very much a horrible thing. And you know what I'm saying? The backlash also in our community about women getting pregnant at an early age and the actual treatment that we receive. We talk about this and that. I mean, a lot of these women felt they had no other choice but to abort a baby. And that has, like I said, that has become a cultural norm with our people. That at one time that was considered foreign. We looked down at that. We didn't consider that. I heard people saying, "Now, what's going to happen now if now that abortion's out of there? What about all these babies, these unwanted babies and stuff like that?" We got to first fix our community too, man, because there was a time that when we had unwanted so-called babies, family members went ahead and took them aunts and uncles and grandmas and cousins and raised them and brought them into their family and treated them like they were their own child. We got to get back to that. We got to get back to fixing our own economics and stuff as well. So these women that aren't making any money, these women that feel like they are tied down financially, that these women can go out there and don't have to kill their child. We have to get back to that. You got a woman that's saying, "Well, hey, I'm working at Kmart. I'm making $300-400 a day. I already got a child. How am I going to get that?" We got to fix that economically too. So that sister doesn't feel like that the only way that she can make it in this world is to get rid of her child. That comes from us as a community as well. That's something that we have to do. Since Roe versus Wade has not had a positive impact on the black community. It's had a detrimental impact. Because guess what? I guarantee you, from the time Roe versus Wade was legalized, you had more children put up for adoptions than you had before damn Roe versus Wade ever took effect. You know why you had more? Because the black family structure has gone down. It's gone down since the late 60s, early 70s, and stuff like that. And we sitting up here, like I say, the next damn thing is to overturn the same-sex marriages, which was never, the majority of this country voted against it, but you had a liberal agenda going ahead and putting this thing in place. So that's going to be the next thing that's also going to fall as well. And that's what a lot of people in the NAACP and the actual Democratic Party are scared about. They're scared about this and that. Now, we had to deal with affirmative action being chewed up and ripped apart and this and that. You got Asians talking about how unfair it is, how it discriminates against them and this and that. You got conservatives talking about it takes away from the best qualified person getting a job and this and that, yada 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 yada. Affirmative action was meant for one group of people and one group of people only. It wasn't meant for the whole damn rainbow coalition. Ray, go ahead, unmute your mic.
I actually disagree with you on the same-sex marriage, and the reason why I've actually read over it a little bit, and it said that in today's majority opinion, nothing in this decision could be understood to cast doubt on precedents that do not concern abortion.
The only thing I say that, Ray, about the same sex marriage is that you have an actual you have a Supreme Court that's more majority. I mean, that has a slight edge in terms of actual conservatives. And like I say, conservatives, as much as I despise them, as much as I think they're just as bad as the Democrats, as much as I think they are clearly the face of neo-Nazism and white supremacy, also with their liberal brothers too. So I don't want anybody to misunderstand that. I do not believe that a majority Supreme Court with conservatives, no matter how small that majority is, are going to let same-sex marriages stand. That's just my personal opinion. I believe, and that's what a lot of people on the left fear. They feel that this is just the first stepping stone, and the Carter house is tumbling apart. They are direly afraid that same-sex marriages is also going to be on the way out. Now, I guess we're going to have to wait and see on that. Like I say, but I believe that same-sex marriages, because like I say, it was same-sex marriages right here in Florida where I live at. When they went to vote for it in the state, it was shot down. Next thing we know, you had a damn a circuit judge, a Supreme Court judge in the state of Florida went ahead and overturned it when it was voted down by the people. The people in Florida was supposed to be part of Florida, supposed to be liberal with the South Florida and this and that, and they said no, we don't want this. But this person with his agenda went ahead and passed it anyways, pushed it through. You're gonna see. I'm telling you, you're gonna see. And that's just my personal opinion. You're gonna see a domino effect of some of these things turning over shortly here and there. Go ahead. I know you probably want to add on.
You talking to me, brother?
Yeah, I didn't know if you wanted to add on to what I said, or I could let DJ go ahead and chime in. And also, everybody that's in the space,
I'm just going off according to exactly what they said. Like you said, according to what they said, nothing in this decision will be understood to cast doubt on precedents that do not concern abortion. But you know how it is. They say it one day and change their mind the next. So, like you said, we just going to have to wait and see. But as of today, right now, I'm just going off of what I have read.
because I'm telling you, they scared. They scared. They shaking in their boots right now, and a lot of these LGBTQ organizations and fronts and stuff, they're afraid and they're scared too. They see this as a changing of the guard right here, and they're shaking. They ain't gonna come out and say it, but I'm already starting. I'm telling you with news, I'm already starting to see articles and stuff pop up and whatnot. They're afraid and they're scared about what's about to happen, what's about to go down today. So we gonna damn sure see. Like I said, I think this is just the first in the Carter houses that's about to tumble right here. And as Jason Black would say, as a Black authority would say, this is good. This is good. Go ahead, Ray.
I was just gonna say this too. I've been in a lot of spaces, bro. Concerning this very particular topic. Most of the women, and I'm actually glad a lot of women let us come in there and speak and give our opinion. A lot of the things I've said is a lot of people are saying they're pro-choice. Family, I'm here to tell you there is no such thing as pro-choice because the opposite of life is death. So you're either pro-life or you're pro-death. There is no in between.
Oh, agreed. I mean, I don't. And some of these same people that talk about they pro-choice and this and that, same people that sit up here and support the death penalty. So I don't exactly understand all this and that. And my thing here too is I want to get back that as Black men, and there's three parties involved in the actual birth of a child. There's two parties, and there's a third that becomes a result. The woman is the primary caretaker of that child. She is an incubator of life. She's the one that delivers a life. Our role in terms of producing or helping to produce the child is very minute. We all know that. But at the same point, a man, you can't sit here and talk about all these deadbeat daddies and daddies don't do this and daddies don't do that. You're totally taking a man out of the equation of childbirth. I mean, he's a father. We just celebrated Father's Day last week for a reason now. There's no Father's Day unless there's fathers. So to sit here and what do you say that a man's responsibility doesn't start until that child is actually born, birth? I don't understand that. You're saying that a man has no right to say anything about a child until the child is actually physically here. Is that what you're telling me? That a man has absolutely no right to speak on anything or say anything or do anything until the actual child is actually here on earth. Until that child is here on earth, that man should just sit there, shut up, and be quiet. He has nothing to do with it. The actual child and the mother is actually is not important either. It's just totally. I don't know. I have to say this here. I have never met, and I don't know about you guys if y'all met the Virgin Mary, but I've never met a woman in this world that produced a child totally by herself. I mean, if I'm wrong, let me know I'm wrong, but I've never met that, and that's one reason we're struggling as a people. This whole gender shit right here. Okay, you should not. I mean, a man should play some kind of role in that. You got a bunch of sorry, deadbeat, sorry ass men that ain't worth anything out there that produces kids, and we understand that. But not every man out there is a sorry, deadbeat, no good for nothing, sorry ass man. So how are we gonna address these type of situations here? I see. Fear this one. Ray, I'm gonna get back to you. Let's let Fear this one go ahead and speak.
Yeah, what's going on? You want me to go next? Go now?
No, Fear this one. You go ahead and speak now.
Yeah, I just want to get this out, man, because I've been, how's everybody doing? And glad you holding space. I want to get this out, man, because I think that this will become a serious problem within our community, especially those that are of the lineage, that built this country, the freedmen, American freedmen. It's like this right here. It's like there's too many, or there may be an association of our own that are advocating hard for this, for to go, I guess, against what was ruled by the Supreme Court, but you don't see that same fighting or theory mentality towards reparations. And I just have a real problem with that. I don't understand. Like with, I've seen there's a clip with Maxine Waters is in it. I've seen a clip of Maxine Waters is giving her just due of talks about that, and it's like and I see my own congressional representative in North Carolina, Representative Allen Adams, which is a whole lot of more of them, whether they Republican or Democrat, are doing this. just understand, like, y'all go so hard for that, but that's goddamn crumbs. What about your reparation, which is the damn buffet that you should be advocating for throughout? Because that's going to fix everything else that we deal with our own lineage. And that makes no damn sense for how they go hard for stuff that don't make no damn sense, that other people have a problem with their irresponsibleness. But you don't even look towards what the damn reparation is. It ain't the damn N-word. You know what I'm saying? It's like, this is not the N-word. This is what repair is all about. But yeah, I just want to say that, man. It don't make no damn sense, though. It really doesn't. It's really impaired in thinking, really. A big block of cheese is in that damn head that's going to become mucus, that's going to later become tumors, cancerous in your fucking head. I'm laying my plane.
No doubt, no doubt. I'm glad you went ahead and you spoke up and whatnot. And also, if there's any ladies, any sisters that's in the space, please don't be afraid to speak up. I want to thank Wayne for his contribution on Cash App, and I also want to thank DJ as well. We got 2 new hands up, and I'm gonna go. I believe it's Rilla. Go ahead and unmute your mic.
Hey, this is Sister Rella, and you all know me as Rella. So I'm going to say this as a Black American freedman, a descendant, and I'm also going to speak as a mother, a woman who's actually given birth. And I'm going to say this: childbirthing is not easy, right? And at the same time, I think the real discussion has to be had in how we actually decide how things were going to be legislated newly and what we are going to demand as a people. A lot of these legislations that are, being overturned or looked at, you have to realize the Supreme Court has never been, I should say the Supreme Court of today has not been an advocate for the American descendants of freedmen, and history has shown that. And I think that it is also not responsible for us to talk about the things that actually plague our communities in the sense of what we need as far as legislation for our people. We already know there are fathers and mothers who are not the best of parents, and all they have done probably is, produce children. It does not mean that they are the best of parents, right? So I think that is a separate discussion. I think that we need to start to unpack and compartmentalize. I don't think the discussion is about deadbeat fathers, because if it was about, the discussion is not about deadbeat fathers. The discussion in regards to men who are actually damn good fathers and who are providers, who are in the family household, who are for the Black family structure. Those are the men that I want to have conversations about on what legislation should look like if we're going to be talking about reproductive rights. Those are the men that I think that we need to be figuring out, okay, what is it that you are not being represented about? What is it that, in the family structure, when it comes to a man and a woman procreating, that you are going to be responsible of, and how do we make that together? Those are the conversations. I'm not going to have a conversation with someone who does not handle their responsibility, even though they're still an American citizen and they still do have rights. But we're going to have a sensible conversation. We're going to have a sensible conversation with men who actually have the blueprint, and those who are actually doing the damn thing. Even if you're a single father, relationships happen. Things happen where people aren't together anymore, but it doesn't mean that the father or the mother is not doing what they need to do to take care of the children. So I think when we have these types of discussion, we need to really make sure that we are actually pinpointing those things out. We're not sitting here talking about the men who aren't doing their jobs. And if you are doing that, then, be honest about that conversation. Because like you said earlier, Newstoter, there are men and there are women who do not take care of their responsibility. However, Roe versus Wade was not it was not a justification for Black women. It was not in our benefit. And I can tell you that as a Black woman, someone who literally saw how the medical community did her own mother, or did myself when I was giving birth. Roe versus Wade didn't protect me in the hospital, Roe or prior to. I had to be my own fucking advocate. So I think we need to really, really pinpoint those things and actually talk about those things in its entirety of what's actually going on, not based on people's emotions and, you know, people making TikToks or, you know, giving out their antiquated opinion or nuanced opinion. No, what is the reality in each state? What are the what is the statistical data for us in each state? And then on top of that, as Feared has said, reparations would clear up all of our issues. Reparations would cover our issues. Roe versus Wade would not be a problem if we had our reparations. We wouldn't even be having a discussion. We would actually be having a discussion. Okay, well, what type of medical legislation do we need to be fighting for? And how do we cover our families? So I land my plane there, and I appreciate you for allowing me to speak. And, you know, blessings. I apologize. I should have definitely said this in the beginning. Blessings to everyone on the stage and to the host and co-host. That's all I have to say. And you know me, I'm going to keep it right real. And I don't have a problem with saying and speaking my mind. So thank you guys.
Thank you, no doubt, no doubt. You're in the right place to speak your mind, because that's what we're gonna do here today. We're gonna speak your mind. And anybody that's been in these spaces know I'm gonna speak my mind. So it's definitely good to have a sister's perspective on this. Like I say, it's something that we definitely need to come and talk about. And like I say, this has not been Roe versus Wade has not been beneficial in my opinion, and that's what it is, my opinion, to the Black community. It has not helped us one iota. In fact, it has hurt the family structure among a bunch of other destructive policies that's been put in place. So we're gonna go ahead to our next speaker, and thank you once again for sharing your opinion and your thoughts. And if you'd like to come back and speak up, just all you got to do is raise your hand. We're gonna go to Demi. Go ahead and unmute your mic.
Hi, brothers. How y'all doing? Thanks for letting me speak. Hi, everybody in the chat. Well, Newstoter, you were in Latasha's space yesterday, and hi, Ray. How you doing? And everyone knows I am an advocate for a lot of Negro children. I want to see them everywhere. I want to see them on every corner, every store I go to, every shopping mall I'm in. I just want to see a whole bunch of babies. So, you know, I love children. This is my natural self. And I have to agree with you, News Totem. I've been married for 14 years. We have one daughter. And during my pregnancy, they were doing their racism, and they tried to make me abort the child, simply telling me that I was going to have issues and you're going to be anemic and you're going to need a blood transfusion. They were giving me all these scare tactics. But as soon as I took my husband to these appointments, everything changed. Everything changed. So you're right. Black men do have a say-so before the children are born. Actually, their presence make a hell of a difference. It's almost like they back down a little bit. So I agree with you on that. The men have equal say to their seed being born in the world. I mean, I get, you know, I have my own body and I treat my body how I want to, but ultimately, my husband is my cover. He's the head of me, and I am the head of the child. So that's how I was taught and raised. And I think as a group of people that's trying to get back to our roots, that's trying to get back to community building, I think we need to establish some rules here. You know, you can't have, you know, women and men arguing over who's the leader. So for me, it's all about Roe versus Wade. It being overturned is my heart's joy. I mean, I woke up this morning excited, y'all. I cannot even hide it. I'm excited. I got a couple friends that has blocked me last night due to it because I was so excited about it. But to each his own. Be respectful. Learn safe sex. Stop sleeping with men you just met. It's simple. It's not hard. Get married. God damn it. I mean, and teach your little girls to save themselves. That's what I was taught. So, I'm gonna land my plane there, but y'all, I'm extremely happy about it. I think we should make it into a holiday, to be honest.
Sister, you not only landed your plane, but you landed a 747 jet engine right there. Everything you said, I agree with. I was taught the same thing, and and we don't always follow that. That's the thing about it. And for any of my fathers that's on here that have children, whether you have a wife or a girlfriend or you're raising your child, take care of your damn child. Be a man. Okay, that's a problem that we do have in this community, and it's a problem that enough of us men don't say. One thing about me is when I go to the school, I've always been involved in my kids' academics, and like you say, so it makes a difference when a black father comes out there and he tells you exactly what's going to happen and how it's going to happen and how can we get the best services for your children. You know, I have a son that has autism, so I've been very hands on with his education and everything like that. So it makes a difference when you go to that school and those white folks see you, because let's be for real, it's white folks that's educating our kids. It makes a damn difference when not only the teacher knows you, but the ESE services people know you, the principal knows you, the assistant principal knows you. When you come up there, oh, Mr. So and so, yeah, we were just discussing. Yeah, I'll be there. We'll be there to talk about his education plan and everything else. So it makes a damn big difference, and that's what I say. This Roe versus Wade thing was one of the big things that caused a big gender war in the black community, especially that and the feminism and everything else. We've had a divide for the past 50 years that we need to go ahead and we need to get rid of that divide, because it doesn't matter, like you said, a mother and a father's job is to work together in the best interest of their family, their kids. And if y'all not together, it's still your job to work in the best interest of your kids, to come together and find the best way to go ahead and further those kids' lives and to make them productive citizens, so they're not sitting up here in some white man's jail, or they're not sitting up here on the damn corner of the street holding a bottle and a blunt in their hand and drunk as hell and can't do anything. So yeah, as a man, we most definitely gonna have to teach our responsibilities to brothers that don't have it, and for the brothers that do have it, which is millions that don't get the recognition. They only want to portray the negative stereotypes of us, but there are millions of brothers out there that's taking care of their community, their families, and they don't get the recognition. The only recognition they get is having a mug shot posted all over the news and stuff like that. So I'm in definitely agreements with you like that. And like I say, we definitely need to come together. And at first, like you say, like the other sisters say, reparations will fix a whole lot of different things. And my thing is, even before reparations come, there's still things in the black community that we can go ahead and we can solve. There's things that are important to us, and family has always been important to us. And when you start sitting up here, and that's just my personal opinion, when you start sitting up here talking about that, you're going to go ahead and you're going to attack and kill the the weakest and the smallest member of that family, the one who can't defend themselves, the one that needs you for everything, has to have the mother feed them just to survive. Then man, we at a crossroads at a people. And to sit up here and have organizations that's supposed to cover our back, like the NAACP, which is nothing more than the front, and I can just imagine what the Black Caucus is gonna say. And you had Michelle Obama come out and put out her little statement, this and that. And Jason Black was going in. Yeah, man, we got some serious issues here. We got some serious problems here that we need to go ahead and correct. And like I said, these people are not they're not taking those type of issues like that. Now, I guarantee when the next celebrity comes out and has a same sex marriage, Michelle Obama will be sitting up there going ahead and tweeting it and giving her approval and this and that, and talking about how great this is and how this furthers us and this and that. But yet when you have all of these black guys getting their heads blown off by cops, and people start talking about police reform and everybody speaks like that's a dirty word, I have an issue with it. I have a real issue with it. And like I say, Mark my words, same-sex marriage, if this Supreme Court stays the way it is, you never know because people die off all the time. Same-sex marriage is going to be under the radar, and it's going to have a target on it as well. Because a lot of people in this country still, the vast majority, they can sit up here and they can get these BS polls all they want. The vast majority of people in this country are not appreciating this whole transgender thing with the bathrooms and this and that. And you got trans athletes up here. You got a 200-pound man up here telling he's a woman now, sitting up here wrestling against a 130-pound woman and stuff like that, or competing in events against her. No, I don't think so. That is not equal representation in my eyes. Ray, go ahead and unmute your mic.
DJ is before me.
DJ, go ahead and unmute your mic.
No, it's all good, Ray. You know what it is. What's up, my boy? Now I'm just agreeing with the brother Theaters or whatever, which I see he's trying to come back up in the room. So basically, make a long story short about people like Maxine Waters and I forgot the other guy that's the representative of North Carolina, like you said. You know, these people don't care about us, and they supposed to be our people. So at the end of the day, they just a part of the boule class. So, you know, you see Maxine Waters out there, yeah, black women, this, that, and third, yeah, we gonna be out here, da-da-da. See, that's that indoctrination type babble talk to y'all black women to get y'all all wild up and mad and pissed off to go out there and support, you know, the overturning of Roe v. Wade. Like, come on, that shit ain't never benefited us. How many babies we done put down in the ground for no damn reason at all? You know what I mean? And it's not to go on the women, it's on us men as well. So at the end of the day, like Fair said, you know, we got to start stepping to our representatives, the people that we elect in office. Hey, look, you better start doing what it is I tell you to do. Because otherwise you're going to be out of here come midterms. Yeah. Go ahead, Ray.
Before you get on there, Ray, let me just add this. Instead of worrying about Roe versus Wade so much, why don't they worry about these healthy women that are dying giving childbirth? You know, the black women's mortality rates, you know, for childbirth and stuff still exceeds everybody else. Why don't they worry about that? You got healthy women going in here trying to give birth and dying. Why don't you worry about something like that for a change? I don't hear any of these major publications. They glance over this little bit of stuff. Y'all know we did a Twitter space, and that was on the news cycle. We mentioned that before. But you got black women that's dying, giving birth more so than any other group in this country. Okay, let's worry about that. Let's create a bill about and the whole thing that it's because of systematic racism. These women can't get access to the same health care that these other women are, white women and Asian and everything else. So let's worry about something like that. Something that's real, a real benefit. Something you got, like I said, you got healthy women going up in here and dying. Okay, dying at childbirth rates higher than anybody else in this country. I'm worried about that. Ray, go ahead and unmute your mic.
No, I was just gonna say, DJ, you got to realize that Maxine Waters, she's basically the female version of John Lewis.
Oh,
yeah,
that one.
Yeah, Maxine is going. You got to realize that these people are Democrats first and black second. So they're gonna go ahead and push this stuff like the same way when Margaret Sanger came out with that stuff. One of the main allies she made, and we gloss over this, was the preachers and the black churches, because she knew the impact that the preachers would have with the black masses. They went ahead and they went right along with this devilish, backstabbing, trampy damn woman right here, this eugenist, this white supremacist whose whole idea was to go ahead and sterilize people and knock our numbers down. They went right along ahead like these black pastors have been doing for the past 40, 50 years, turning the knife in our back. And they went right along with that.
You already know I was going to touch on that. Margaret Sanger said the best way to kill a black man or a woman is to do it before they're born. And that should tell you the whole mindset that this woman had. And I'm just speaking, this is just my personal, what happened with me. So my wife, she got pregnant 6 weeks after the birth of our son, 6 weeks. You know, killing my daughter that's here now, that was never a thought in my mind. As a man, I was like, well, I made her. I got to step up and just take care of her. My wife, she sat down with me and, you know, we started talking about birth control, you know, after the third kid, you know, she explained to me, you know, about the nausea, the abdominal pain, you know, what else? Extreme bloating, irregular cycles, spotting, you know, menstrual periods, or just not having all the vomiting, the vertigo, the ovarian cyst, the cancer, and all this other stuff that comes with, you know, women having to take all this medication. So I decided, you know what, I'll just get a vasectomy, because we had that conversation. She was like, you know, you need to start pulling out. And I was like, you know, hell no, I'm like, that's hard. I don't know if I can do that. So, the alternative that both of us came with was that's just the best course of, that's going to help us out was just me getting the vasectomy. So I decided to go that route. And if anything, I don't know if anyone talked about this, but we need to start talking about, like you said, these bummy ass dudes. Because, like Jason Black said, if anything, they should be the ones that should be shaking in their damn boots. Because now they can't just, give 40 or 50 or however much it costs to just, make the baby go away. They're going to actually have to start, being careful about what they're doing and who they're sleeping with. And the same thing with the women. This, even though obviously it's mostly on women because they're the ones that have to, they actually have the babies. It's on the men too. We're gonna start being more responsible about who we're sleeping with. I've been, my wife and I, we've been together since we were 17 years old, high school sweethearts, all that good stuff. So for me, that is the solution.
No doubt, brother. You made some great points on that one, Ray. I definitely would have to say you definitely made some great points. And also to the sisters out there, if you have a fool out there, some fool that has 5, 6 kids from 5, 6 different women, don't lay up with him and get pregnant. Don't add to it. You know he's not anything. Do not go out there. This dude has 5, 6 different kids, and we got a couple celebrities. I'm not gonna mention by name right now. Don't get pregnant from him because you're just as bad as him. You add into it. You bring another child in here. You're another baby mama. So don't go ahead. This man's got 5, 6 kids from 5, 6 different women. Don't lay down with this man and have a child from him. That is just common sense right there. If he's not doing anything for the other 5, 6 kids he's got, he's not going to do anything for yours. There's nothing that's going to make him turn around and say, oh, well, this child is more special than the other ones I had. Don't start a football team with this dude here. Let him go on his way. Find your brother that's trying to do something. That may have a 9-to-5 job. He may not have the greatest job in the world. Build with him and try to do something with him. But let the other fool that thinks he's some kind of buck on the plantation put here to breed by master, leave this ignorant Negro alone because he means you no good. Leave him alone and let him go down his way and don't sit up there because if you sit up there and you have a child from this fool here that had all these other kids from all these different women, you're just as much to blame as he is. And we don't want to see your crocodile tears. We don't want to see you on Maury. We don't want to hear all this and that. Well, he didn't. You knew exactly that he was nothing. Do not sit up here and have a child from one of these Negroes. And the same for the men. If this woman has, God forbid, 5, 6 kids from 5, 6 different men, buddy, you do know that she is fertile. That if you lay up with her and have unprotected sex, it's a great chance that she's going to be having another child. And it's going to be from you this time. So if you get hit with child support and you got to pay a few $100s out your check, don't sit up here and start crying and whining because you already knew the woman had a bunch of kids from a bunch of different men. She's already getting child support from a couple baby daddies. You just a dumb sucker that came along here too. So be a man up, fork over that cash and shut up.
Hey, news.
Yeah.
I think something that we also need to add into there, and I hate to say it, but we got to talk about the Nick Cannons of this world that actually are doing something very positive, but they're making a bunch of broken homes too.
Yeah, man. Nick got 9, 10 kids, and then I seen you had young Jock on there talking about he had his 13th child or whatever. So yeah, and white folks, and it's a reason I haven't really tweeted that stuff out because it's on Newstoter. If y'all have not been to Newstoter.com, Newstoter.com is the largest black news curation aggregator of black content in America today. Make sure that you guys follow us on Twitter. Also, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Follow us on Facebook. You can also support Newstoter on Cash App. That's $Newstoter. That is $Newstoter. Yeah, man, it's a reason. I just didn't want to tweet it out because I'm like, well, I'm seeing some of the images and stuff that we project. And sometimes it's news. I have to put it out there. But sometimes, man, I am really, really just, I don't know the word. I'm just really apprehensive about putting this stuff out there because it's being covered by other sources and whatnot. And I'm like, do I really need to add to it? Yeah, we know these guys have got enough kids right here to form a platoon and whatnot. So do I really need to go ahead and add to it? But you're right, man. It comes back to that old mentality that they think that black men, Joe Biden himself talking about black men could use a condom, or could put on a condom and stuff like that. So it's that stereotype of us that, sometimes I just don't really want to feed into. Sometimes I have to go ahead and put it out there though. But yeah, I'm sometimes just, I don't know. I don't know. I just, at times I just don't really want to put it out there, but you're right, man. It's crazy. Ray, go ahead, and I'm gonna let Fearless One. Go ahead and finish your point. And I'm gonna let Fearless One come back up.
Now, I wanted to just thank you because you brought up that you have a child that has autism. My first daughter, we were told that, hey, this child, if she's born, she's going to possibly be retarded and have all these other mental, things going on with her. I still was like, that's my baby. You're not about to talk me into aborting my child. You're not going to do that. My daughter's here. My daughter's 13 years old. Come to find out, the only thing wrong with her is she just doesn't like to read. She is in 6th grade and she reads on like I want to say like a 4th grade level. So I'm so glad that I did not listen to these doctors and let them try to convince me to give up my child, and come to find out there's nothing wrong with her. She's 13, she's healthy, she's just like pretty much any other teenager, going through her little attitudes and stuff. She's normal as she can be. So I want to say that too. We can't always let these doctors talk us into, into our own genocide.
Yeah, and to add that point before I move on, Ray, I know because they were trying to talk about putting my son, or have I thought about putting him on some kind of medication to help with him, to help him concentrate? And I'm like, listen, you're not going to put my son on no goddamn psychiatric type damn medicine to have him all lethargic around here, barely moving and mumbling and this and that.
Exactly.
Damn, whatever issues he have, we going to deal with him as a family.
For them to sit still so they can miseducate him. They can go to hell.
Yeah, I'm like, no, you're not finna have my son on this shit here. Like, I'm sorry. He's not gonna be sitting up here lethargic, barely able to move and mumbling and this and that. I don't know what's this gonna have on his long-term health or whatever. I'll be damned. Like, no, we just gonna have to go ahead and we just gonna have to just do what we can do with him. Know what I'm saying? I'm not a big fan of prescription drugs on kids and stuff like that. So no, I'm definitely not for that. And I agree with you, Ray. Like I said, they say a lot of crazy stuff like that. They told my sister the same thing one time. They talk about, but my sister's son, because he had a speech delay, that he'd be lucky if he was able to do this and do that in life. My sister's son graduated college. First off, he went to college. He graduated high school at 16 years old. Ended up graduating college by 20, and works in the damn financial sector. So, man, these people can go to hell with all of their evaluations and everything else, man. Hell no. If anybody has a kid that may have some developmental delays and stuff, be really leery of this medicine and these hardcore drugs that they give people that's schizophrenics and stuff like that, talking about doping your kids up with. Be really, 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 because we don't know what's going into these medicines. We don't know what manufacturer's making it. You don't know the long-term health impact 20 years from now, what it's going to have on their heart, their lungs, their liver, their brains. So hell no. They can go to hell with all that.
Exactly. Those people that make those pills are in the business to make money. They don't care about our kids.
No, they care about selling pills and stuff for $300-$400, cheating people, stuff that cost them $1 to make. They're gonna turn around some of these damn prescription pills $300-$400 and whatnot. And like I say, nobody knows the long-term impact that it's gonna have on you. So definitely, let's watch out for our kids, man. Let's watch out for the ones that's here, and let's watch out for the ones that's on the way coming here. Something that America tells you that you don't have to. We got Fearless One, and then Demi back up. Fearless One, unmute your mic.
Yeah, good points. And I just wanted to say that, we have enough in abundance of doctors, physicians in our own lineage that can do the damn thing as far as to keep our lineage together. And I don't just look at it to be that we have to resort to having other source of physicians to be over our babies, our mothers, and giving some sort of reviews and summaries, or some sort of thing to tell the dad or the father. We have enough of that in our own that we can do it for our own. That's why repair is very much important and imperative. And I don't want to get spiritual, but I was going to say this for God knows a lot of us in here. We are raising our ancestors again. We are recycling of our children are recyclings of us, and we're just only here to just make it better for the next generation while they're growing up in 2022, or if not birth at 2022, maybe sometime in the future. But we are really a recycling to make sure that we can get the right gist of who we are or supposed to be that much more better, because a child is supposed to be the fusion of two lineages coming together to make those two lineages better through that child. So that's why we have to raise a child, or there's always like the takes a village to raise a child. That's with everybody to do that. And we are a part of building that frontier of who we are. We are our ancestors. We are our ancestors. We need to keep that promoted, because no white or any sort of other type of ethnic may not even know that stuff, because they're not there. And I'm not even gonna say yet, because they're just not there. They're not there on how our plateau has been ever since. So we need to know these things and know that, and it's gonna be coming out, man, to explain that more about we are recycling of our ancestors, man. We don't need to be killing our ancestors off. So I just want to say that. Yeah, one more point about this transgender stuff. Look, I appreciate seeing a woman race on a track meet. I enjoy seeing her swim on a swim meet. Well, I enjoy seeing WNBA. I don't need to see no damn trans trying to be into that, where that should already been buckled down to where you cannot be a part of the sports arena for women to try to take that over. Let them have that, man. Let us come in and be appreciative to see that in women, to see what they can do, because they wanted to compete, or they wanted to just show forth their sports, of athleticism. Let us see that. Don't mix that up. Let's just keep a standard. It should always be a standard. So land the plane.
No doubt, no doubt. And I want to also add on that point you're talking about the women competing in their own events and whatnot. A lot of times you have a bunch of men who couldn't make it against other men that were failures. Now the only way for them to succeed is to come out here against women and compete against women. They couldn't make it against somebody that was equal to them, who was actually superior to them. So then they got to come out here and compete against women, and then talk noise and stuff like that, like it's a fair competition. No, buddy, you was below average against men, so now you can come against women, and you can, because you're naturally bigger and stronger than them, you can compete against, or you can outdo them. So hell no. And also, before we pass, because I'm gonna let Demi get back up here again, and then I'm gonna let Hussein come up here. Listen, I come from a family. Both my grandparents' sets, on my mom's side and dad's side, they came from big families. Both my mom and dad had, on one side 11 brothers and sisters, on the other side 9 brothers and sisters. Their parents was married. They had these kids. They raised these kids. These people come from an era that back then black people had big families. Somewhere along the line, we started listening to white people in the late 60s telling us to go ahead and get down with their agenda that you don't need. And the same way we got Bill Gates going around the world and whatnot, doing all this shady shit that he's doing and whatnot, worrying about knocking the population growth down in these supposedly third world countries and this and that. We come from a group of people that always traditionally had big families. We can't sit up here and start going ahead and start attacking the family and think that things are going to work out well for us. How has that benefited us? We went away from having these big families. I know people say, well, you couldn't afford them. You couldn't this, you could. Those people couldn't afford them, yet they weren't killing their babies. They couldn't afford them. Those people were dirt poor in those areas, especially here in the South where I'm at, here in Florida. Those people were dirt poor, having 8, 9, 10 kids. If they had a child that they didn't plan on having, they just went ahead and they just provided for that child the best they could do. They didn't sit up here and make excuses and talk, well, I'm only making X amount of dollars, so I got to go ahead and kill this child because there ain't gonna be enough food for an extra mouth in the house. No, they buckled up, they tightened up. That's something that we're not doing. Tighten up, man. Go ahead if you got to get your extra job, if you got to get your extra shift, go ahead and tighten up. It's better than the alternative. Go ahead, Demi, and unmute your mic.
Thank you for letting me speak again. And I just wanted to piggyback off what someone said about, we need to have our men who are leading us, especially the ones that's on code. And I'm going to say that again, especially the ones that's on code and looking out for the whole community, not just selfish things. me personally, I was dealing with the school system with my kid, and they wanted my kid to learn Spanish, and I thought it was offensive. And I get it. A lot of people would be like, well, why don't you want her to learn multiple languages? And I'm like, wait, you took away STEM, but you want her to learn Spanish. She's never going to South America. Okay, she's never going there. You know, if anything, can you offer French? Can you offer another language that she can use that will benefit her? I didn't see Spanish being a benefit. And, you know, my husband, he saw me going through this, going back and forth to the school. They was bullying me. And this school was ran by Black women. And they couldn't fathom why I was like, I don't want her to learn that. And they kind of was bullying me into like forcing me to lean to this coalition that wasn't going to benefit my seed. So he was like, you know what, let's just remove her. You know, and it's like, okay, I had to go along with that. But at the time, you know, it's scary. You have to make a sacrifice. But it has been the best thing I have done since then. Like, she is so much better. She's not being indoctrinated with, oh, she has this issue, or oh, she has that issue. I'm able to see things that I hadn't seen before, like her strong points as a little Negro, right? Because you know they come blessed with some type of talent. So it's like, you know, I'm able to see things that I haven't seen before. So I agree with what y'all saying about be careful with what they diagnose your kid with or want to push on your kid, because 9 times out of 10 it's not going to benefit them. And I'm going to just lay there.
No doubt. Thank you, Demi, for sharing that information. Like I say, just definitely let's be careful. Like, you can say my child has this or that or whatever, and you know what I'm saying. Your diagnosis, you know, could be correct. But at the same time, you're not gonna be passing off this harmful medicine and stuff to him. I'm just sorry. Like I say, we'll work with him. We'll get him the best that we can get, that we can, you know, afford to get him, and we're gonna keep, you know what I'm saying, working with this child until we can get him where he's able to implement himself in the society as best he can. We know it's going to be harder for him because he is Black and he does have a developmental delay, being a Black male at that too. But we're going to continue to work with our child, our kids, and want the best for them and whatnot. So yeah, like I say, I am very skeptical of this hard, and this stuff is narcotics too. Like, you pass it off as medicine all you want to. This stuff is hardcore narcotics, psychiatric type treatments and whatnot. So no, I pass on that. Insane. Go ahead and unmute your mic.
Hello everyone. Hello Newstoter and Keitha, I believe it is. Great space, and have heard a lot of interesting things being said. Over and over again, I hear a desire to get back to the way we were prior to the great social welfare system of the 60s, 50s, and 60s. And you know, one thing, like you said, Newstoter, that I was able to see when I was a child was families together. I grew up in a very rural environment, farming country in North Carolina, but what I was able to see was extended families working together. So what I have observed over the last couple of years, you know, last 10, 20 years, is the fact that extended family is all but pretty much gone. You know, if people are not getting married, there's no real loyalty to the family and relations. I mean, you can acknowledge, I think, the grandparents, but beyond that, there doesn't seem to be a great sense of loyalty to aunts and uncles on both sides. And these social welfare programs have had a disastrous effect on the two-parent household. and ultimately the extended family, which offered a lot of protection. I mean, whether it was a case of a child being born out of wedlock or just families going through some kind of upheaval and one parent or the next left, a lot of extended families, incorporated those other children into their families. I saw that in many instances. I know for a fact I have about 3 people whom I refer to as cousin, and they're not my cousins. My grandmother was a midwife. So as a result of that, she had a little bit more in 1940s and 50s America. So, growing up as a teenager, I would ask my mom sometime, well, how are we related to that person? And she would tell me, well, your grandmother took them in because for whatever reasons, grandmom just took them in and helped raise them. And that happened with 3 different people whom I refer to as my cousin. And then I also saw that growing up, when you see a lot of those sharecropper situations, in a lot of those little sharecropper shanties, you might have had aunts, uncles, grandkids, and there may have been one person who presided over that household, but it was nothing to have that arrangement. One of my best friends, he's very successful now, that was his situation. And he grew up in a household, he and his mom. Now, his father wasn't there, but he had 2 to 3 uncles who were there who kept him in line. And he really appreciates those men to this day because they set good examples for him. So, and this is before abortion and the welfare system really took off. And that's my insight into that. So I would love to see more focus on restoring the extended family by trying to restore the 2-parent household, or vice versa. If you restore the 2-parent household, you can restore the extended family, which always and many times acted as a safety net way before we were into the social welfare system. That same man that I spoke about, my very good friend, when we were kids, sometimes he wouldn't have money. Or he would say, hey man, have you got a couple of dollars? Because I had a little money. And he'd be like, all I got is these GD food stamps. He hated that. He hated that. His brothers and sisters hated that. And these were people that didn't have anything. They didn't even have an indoor bathroom. They hated to use those things. But it seems like we've gotten deep off into it and working our way out of it. We really need to look back at how people existed prior to certain such great numbers in our community becoming a part of that system. And a lot of it has to do with the 2-parent household and the extended family. Not in all cases, but in many cases, that was the safety net. And I'll land my plane with that.
And what you said is 100% true. I know having family out there in the country, I know how close knit it was, a big family and this and that. So I could definitely tell you about those days walking on dirt roads and having a family house where everybody can come to and this and that. So what you're saying is absolutely, I'm in absolute agreement with you. Between first the welfare coming in, kicking the black daddies out the households and whatnot, and then you throw in the drug war on black people, then you throw in the abortion, those three, then you throw in mass incarceration. I mean, it's really been just a war on black culture for the past 50, 60 years. It's always been a war from the time this country was founded on black people. But as people start seeing the mainstream America, white supremacy started seeing the actual meteoric rise of black people, what they could do as the civil rights movement was slowing down, they started seeing these gains that black people started making. Anytime you start seeing the major gains that black people started making, whether it be post-Civil War and Reconstruction or post-civil rights, then it's always something that the government has to conspire to do to try to undermine the actual the movement, the upward movement of black people in this country. So thank you for saying that. I agree with 100% of what you're saying right there. Enough is enough. Go ahead and unmute your mic.
Hi,
Thank you for having this space. I wanted to touch on what Insane was saying about having that safety net as far as like, I feel like I would have never went into the system if we had that safety net. At 12, when both of my parents died from a car accident, like the system wouldn't give my grandmother, wouldn't give my mother's 4 kids to my grandmother. And I just feel like if we had that, we had someone else. Because my grandma, she was old. She was very old. So I just feel like we would have never went into the system. So having that safety net, seeing that I have 3 kids and their father passed away last year, having that safety net, I feel like for our community, again, would help so many young Black people more than especially people that don't necessarily want to be single parents. It happens. Yeah, I'll land on that.
Sister, I'm sorry to hear about your loss, and I'm also sorry to hear about how you lost both of your parents and being trapped by this system here that we talk about. And that's another thing that we're talking about, that we have to, what Insane is saying, or what I was saying earlier, we have to re-strengthen the Black family structure, because uh, I know your grandmother was old and whatnot, but it's just unfortunate that you have another relative or two step up and say, well, hey, if I'll go ahead and I'll get 2 of the kids, and Aunt Vi can go ahead and get the other 2 kids or something like that. So that's what we're talking about. It was a time in in our group, in our history, where if somebody was too old to do it, then you would have had aunts and uncles and cousins and stuff like that. So we have to get back to that point. It seemed like you was going to say something enough. Go ahead. I don't want to cut you off.
They also separated us. So they didn't put us in one home together. We all just got separated into different homes. Like I didn't get to see my siblings until like I actually phased out of foster care. They didn't go and pick us up, and we had family time together. Like I didn't know where none of I was the youngest one. My siblings, they aged out way before me. You know what I mean? But being alone, not saying I never got to go see my grandmother, but we just did never see each other. So that and my aunts and stuff, I don't think they never asked any of them. I was like, well, can I go here? Can I go anywhere? I don't want to go here. And they didn't put us in foster homes. They put us in group homes with a whole bunch of people, boys and girls. It was miserable. You know what I mean? So one day you be in your home, then you wake up, and then now you with a whole bunch of strangers that you don't even know, all white people, and it was just a lot. It was a lot.
Yeah, I can imagine that. And like I say, I can only imagine, because I didn't grow up like that. I can only imagine that was a like. And this is what I'm talking about here too, man. This is the issues and stuff that we're talking about. Roe versus Wade is gonna be put up by the Democrats as the most important issue in all of America. They're gonna make it the most important issue in Black America. And the situation that you experience, and the situation that so many other Black people experience, is more crucial to us, in my estimate, than Roe versus Wade. We definitely, like I say, the family structure has been destroyed here, and we have to rebuild that. And the fact that they intentionally separated you and your siblings from one another. This is what we need to be worried about here, trying to fix systems that's corrupt, and that really sticks it to us whenever they can get. You saw in the case of Malcolm X when he was growing up, how they intentionally destroyed his family. Intentionally did it on purpose when his father was murdered. And they talking about that he committed suicide by throwing himself on a train and getting ran over. Intentionally took all those kids and just dispersed them from here to there to there to there to there to there. So yeah, this is something that like I said, we're talking about. This is something that we have to rebuild. And like I say, and by killing the family, by killing the most innocent people in the actual family, that's not how you rebuild. That's not how you restructure. That is not. And since we've been doing that, it has been, like I say, it has been a black eye for us, and it's going to continue to sink that way. And I'm glad that Roe versus Wade was overturned. And like I say, next up is going to be same-sex marriages. I know that's a different discussion for a different time, but I wanted to add that. That's going to be part of the fallback as well. That's going to be the next major key legislature that's going to get pushed out of here. As long as that Supreme Court stays the way it is, that same-sex marriages is in a world of trouble. Wait and see. It's gonna go down. It's gonna happen, and it's gonna be the next. It's gonna be the next Humpty Dumpty to get broken into a million pieces. Tomboyism. I think Tomboy. Go ahead and speak.
Oh, okay. Thank you. I just want to kind of chime in for a minute. I've been listening to these conversations for at least for a couple of months, but involved in women's health rights for decades. As a woman myself and a young woman of 3 kids, that was one thing that was always important to me, was to maintain some decent health, whether you have health coverage or not. Some have it through their employers, some are self-employed, some just have to get it from the state or the county in which they live. But nevertheless, at some age, in some point in time, I think all, young adults going into adulthood should take responsibility for their reproductive health and their sexual organs, right? If we just want to keep it a little simple. But, and that's important. So as a young woman, I've always visited the gynecologist from the time I was 13 up until a menstrual cycle, right? Because it's important for a woman to know about her health. A menstrual cycle is part of one of the most important functions of a female body. If not, you're not able to reproduce anyway. And so you got to keep not just your mental, your sanity, but also your physical health and your sexual organs, if we can say, keep them intact. Your fallopian tubes, ovaries, uterus, all that stuff is important. And we shouldn't just depend on the school system to teach our children about reproductive health, if that's what we want to call it, because that's really what it is. A man mentioned earlier about his getting a vasectomy conversation that was between him and his wife, right? But nevertheless, if you're 13, 14, 15, 16, you need to know about your health. It's important. So you're not just out here walking around nilly-willy, just doing what you feel is pleased, and you knowing that it's not right. We can say what we want to say, but we still have to take care of ourselves, right? And so with 3 kids, I can tell you all kinds of stories. But one thing that I heard from a young woman, listen, I had to take care of a child, one of my relatives, my niece, and because both of her parents were out in the streets, right? And so I had to take custody of her, and I was young. I had one already of my own, and then I had to take the responsibility to take in my niece. And I probably was under 25, actually. I was under 25 years old. And so because that was my niece, that was my brother's child, I said, I'm going to take responsibility to take her so she wouldn't be under the system's care. But nevertheless, there was a process. So they didn't just give her to me. I had to go through the courts. And then the social service system, they gave her to me, put her under my custody and everything. Okay. Her brother, she ended up having a brother who mom had, a different mother, but the same father, which is my brother, right? But nevertheless, it was a situation. So I would have had 2 of his children, and I told them I couldn't take the other one. I was under 25 with one, and my oldest child, his father was in and out of prison. So we do have to be mindful about not only who we have children with, but once we have them, somebody got to be responsible for these children. And we can't just throw that on the system. But this is one thing that I learned as now a much older adult, and then who have even taught in schools. Parents have to really take responsibility. If you have to go through a court and get legal custody of your children, then you should do that. So if something happens, the court already have on paper documentation what should happen when something happens to the parent. Not only that, but we should also consider getting wills. Because again, if something happened, there's legal documentation that will say what should happen with those children if they're still under 18. And then that way we don't have to depend on the court and leave it to the court to now start separating our children. We have to get our children in our custody and keep them in our custody. Them two relatives, my niece and nephew, see their parents have problems with drugs. And then they were running in and out of prison. I don't know no functional crackhead or no functional meth head that can keep their kids in the house and keep them fed and take them to school and do all the normal functioning things that parents do. I've never met one. I'm been born, I'm a 70s child, grew up in Los Angeles, California. I ain't ever seen a crackhead, and excuse my language, or a meth head that have full facility over their children. Just don't happen. So they end up in foster care or somebody else have to take it. But if there's a will, legal documentation, or some document that says if this happens to me, if I get in a car accident or I die or get sick or whatever, this is what should happen to my children. You have to elect you a beneficiary or something. These are things that we have to start being responsible for real. We have to think reality. We can listen to all this, excuse my language, this bullshit about Democrat and Republican. We parents first. We people first. Before this system of racism and white supremacy, before all this old shit, we didn't know nothing about no Democrat and Republican. It didn't exist. But people were still reproducing. So we have to get back to thinking about what the core family nucleus really looks like, and then how we gonna care for our kids and take care of them if something happens to them. You got to get insurance policy. They got Gerber. They got all that kind of shit. You can pay $5 a month for a $10,000 policy for each child. When they get out of high school, bam, that money can go to them to do whatever they feel is choose, whether it's starting a business or even pay for college or whatever. They just want to put it in their pocket and run the street. They might want to travel and go around the world. But we have to get back to thinking, these are my babies. If we saying that we don't want the system to send to prison and go through all that bullshit, you better start minding them and take care of them the way God said to. Not man. You keep following man, you're going to fuck up all the time. But you do what God tell you to do. Hey, whether you believe in Jesus or not, nobody asked you that. But you know God is real. He said, take care of your children 4 generations out and they shall be blessed. And you ain't got to worry about them. Feed them, take care of them, love them, hug them, and tell them how much you care for them. Show up at them damn schools and let them know, knock on the door. I had just some recent issues, too, with some schools and them black women running in schools. I called the police on their ass. You like calling the police on parents? You like taking black kids out of homes? How about I'm going to call the police on your ass, too? We got to start being vigilant and start being diligent at the same time. Take responsibility. Give a fuck about this system if we already know that they don't care about us. Why we keep asking them and begging them to do something for us? Take care of your own children. God gave you facility to do that. Do it. And I'm going to land my plane. Thank you.
No problem. Thank you. You're right. And that's my main thing there, is that nobody has to tell me. I'm a man. Nobody has to tell me to take care of my kids. Like the thing with Father's Day and stuff like that, I was glad that I was taken out to dinner last week and it was nice and the kids and stuff and we had a good time or whatever. But I'm a man. Like that kind of stuff doesn't matter to me. Like that's nice and I appreciate the gesture and whatnot. And, your kids say Happy Father's Day to you. You're happy to hear it and this and that. But at the end of the day, whether my kids like all the decisions I make or not, I'm their daddy. And I'm gonna make sure the decisions I make impact their life. And some of them they may agree with and some of them they may not. But I'm not here to be their friend. I'm here to be their father first and foremost. And I'm gonna be a man and I'm gonna be their father. And you might not see what I'm doing now that's for the best benefit for you, but when you get grown, you are gonna be self-sufficient. I'm gonna make sure you're gonna be self-sufficient and that you don't have to leech off of this system that they claim we leech off anyways, and everybody else leech off. It ain't a problem, but nonetheless, you have to go ahead and try to instill in your kids some kind of decency, some kind of morals or whatever. And they're kids, they're not, and they become adults, and they may not do everything you say. That's human nature. There's gonna be things that you taught them that they're gonna go against. It's things I was taught, my parents taught me, I went against. That's just how life is. But you try to teach them the best you can and hope and pray that they go ahead and they follow what you lay out there for them. At the same time, like I said, not providing any kind of leadership, any kind of guidance is detrimental. And also allowing people from the outside to attack the family structure. The black family structure has been attacked from the time that we've been in contact with Europeans. From the time that we had our first contact with them, between being sold, this and that, having babies ripped out of mothers' arms and stuff like that, fathers never seeing their kids before. The black family structure has been attacked, and when we finally started getting it back on path, it got attacked again. So, like I say, and I say this, and I mean this with all seriousness, I'm glad Roe versus Wade is gone. I hope that I don't care what kind of majorities in the Supreme Court. I hope that it never comes back. I hope that it's dead and it's buried and it stays dead and it stays buried. Because whenever you have dumb policies like this, it affects one group of people in this country more so than anybody else, and that's us. So I hope that it's dead and it's buried and it's set on fire and it never returns. It has not done a lick of good for the black race. It has been a detriment, and it is not, like I say, it has not benefited us one iota. In fact, it has helped to further tear the community and tear the family structure and tear the man and woman relationship apart. So good riddance to it. And I hope that it's dead and it's buried forever. Ray, you got your hand up. Go ahead and unmute your mic.
No, the sister, I believe her name was Tomboy. She really made a lot of great points. I definitely want to give her flowers for a lot of those great points. I also want to interject this. You know, the system we know is messed up, so that's why we black people should come together, put our own thing together, and do something better for our babies. Our brother, Tariq Nasheed, you know, he's working on a movie right now. He has 6,000, excuse me, let me say this. He has 6,000 of his followers to just give $10. That's $60,000. If he can raise, that's just one man. If he can ask that much money for a movie, we can definitely come together and do something like this so our babies that are in foster care can have a better quality of life. That was my first point I wanted to make. She also, I believe it was someone mentioned about, you know, when you die, you want to have something for your kids and, you know, have all your information together. There's something called Secure My Legacy. It's a red book that you can get, and it basically has all your personal information. It's a record holder. So just in case you do pass away, then obviously, your family will know exactly what to do. Another issue that I heard about was the Democrats and how they've been, they're crying foul and how, during the midterms, they're going to try to use this to get people to get out and vote for them. But I'm old enough to remember when the Democrats had a filibuster proof supermajority in the Senate, and they had the House and the White House, and they didn't even try to protect them. So how are they really going to try to, cry foul now when they've had time to do something about it? And my last 2 points I wanted to make was something that you said earlier about the transgender community. So Dave Chappelle made a joke that basically saying that if LeBron James was transgender, his brother would average 100 points a game, and that's really true. We have an NBA and a WNBA for a reason. And family, my last point is we're going to have to reject a lot of these opinions that are coming from the LGBT. These people are saying that men should have an opinion on abortion, and then saying that men can get pregnant. This cannot coexist. This just can't coexist in the same idea, the same set of ideas, but yet somehow they do.
No doubt, Ray. You made some great points. Like I say, I know Tariq, he does have that documentary in the works. Once again, he's doing this another crowdfunding project as well. And yeah, definitely go ahead and support you can support him through buying his books and stuff as well, and his DVDs. You can also support Newstoter as well through Cash App. That's $Newstoter, because we are the largest black curator aggregator of news today in America. So when you're on our page and you see 20 some odd articles a day being posted, just know that this is being posted from black owned news sites, black owned media bloggers, and everything else. So we curate news from from over 9 black owned newspapers alone, not to mention different black owned media outlets. So if you want to support a black owned business who actually supports other black owned businesses for free, you can go ahead on Cash App and contribute to us. That's $Newstoter. For anybody, if you have $1 that you just want to contribute to the new black media, it'd be greatly appreciated. Who's next? I believe DJ, you had your hand up for a while. I know you normally like to fade back, but I'm gonna go ahead and let you say something. Then we're gonna go.
Just to go. She had her hand up for a minute. I'm just here collecting my thoughts for the. Go ahead though. No, and then the same after that. I'll go left.
I just wanted to say to Tony Boy, thank you for saying that, because about getting life insurance for your kids and not only for yourself, because that's something that me and my husband did not do. It really affected us, you know what I mean, after he passed away. So thank you, because now I'm only 25, so now that really stuck with me, because I'm like, I do need to do that. I do need to do these things for my 3 children, because if I die, they have nobody. So I need to make sure that I have something in place for them. And that's something that should have been on our mind, seeing that we both were in the system. And I don't never want my children to ever be separated. I mean, I think that's the most scariest thing. I pray nothing happens to me. I pray that I can get them to college and out of the home and safely with me still being alive. But those are things that I really, really need to focus on. So thank you. Secondly, about the same-sex marriage, that needs to go away. It needs to go away, because this is stuff they're teaching in schools, and my kids, they haven't started school yet. My first baby will be going to kindergarten this upcoming year. Lord Jesus, I'm scared. But this is something that needs to go away, because when you teach your kids, you're a boy, you're a girl. These are things you're teaching at home. Now they're going to go to school, and these teachers are going to try to teach my kids something totally different. So it needs to go away, and I pray that it's overturned. I do. I'm sorry. It is what it is. I don't like the fact that women are now having to compete against a man. We're basically having to compete with men that were real men. Don't even sometimes they be calling real women transgender. So I just want all of that nonsense to go away, because it's really going to affect our upcoming generation. My kids and everybody else's kids, even kids now, are being confused and taking hormones and all type of stuff. It's just getting really ridiculous stuff that even when I was growing up, that wasn't stuff that we even thought about or even talked about. You was a boy, I was a girl. You may have been a tomboy, and you know what I mean? That, because you like to do things that a boy might like to do, but it wasn't never as serious as it is now. You know what I mean? Where I work at, I have to call men girls if they want to be called a girl. They may look like a man, then you get confused, and now your kids is confused. And I just really, really hope that we just get back to reality, because I feel like everybody is crazy right now. Everything is just going sideways. Even in our community, Black men are turning into women, and it's confusing. It's even confusing for me. So yeah, I'll land with that.
I'm in total agreement with you on that. Like I said, that's why I made sure I put that also into the actual title. I know the big thing is Roe versus Wade, but like I say, I also believe that's going to have an impact as well on that down the road. Just you wait and see. It ain't done yet. It's not over with, and it's definitely going to have an impact. So, Insane, go ahead and mute your mic. And if you guys, like I say, also you can contribute on Cash App. You can also contribute on Venmo or PayPal. The link is up in the Jumbotron. Go ahead, Insane, and unmute your mic.
All right. Thank you for letting me speak again. Enough is enough. You really hit the nail on the head with that piece about insurance, having insurance for yourself. And I got into a huge back and forth on Facebook with an individual the other day. This was caused by a video that a woman posted talking about her experiences with child support. She was summoned to child support and encouraged to demand more money. And she didn't feel a need to do so. She's remarried. Her ex-husband is remarried. And she didn't feel a need to do so at that time. So there was tremendous blowback because she felt like she didn't need those monies at that time. She didn't say I may not need them in the future. She was simply saying that how astonished she was at those white supremacists almost demanding that she increase the payments. And this was the conversation that I was discussing with someone online the other day. And the person went on to share that money is going to be needed for various things, college and things like that. So I shared with her, I said, well, if you have a child together, wedlock, in wedlock, or out of wedlock, I said to ensure a bit of better insurance on the future, should anything happen to either parent, is to have some life insurance on yourself. That's going to that has the potential of yielding a far greater payout than what child support would do. Because if the one of the parent, whichever parent is supplying the child support, if something happens to them 5 or 10 years after that child is born, then no other monies are coming. So all hopes of college fund goes out the window. So yes, I was having that conversation the other day. My second thing is, again, getting back to the roots of the situation of Black society, when we seem to be doing a whole lot better. That is something that's embraced by a lot of cultures. These Latinos coming here are big on family. I give credit where credit is due. And I've seen that model. The most extreme model I've seen of that I read in New Yorker magazine, and I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with that magazine. It was about Chinatown and the way they lived and the importance, the whole culture in America. And they talked about the Chinese tongs, which is the organized crime element of the tongs. Well, the tongs act as a social agency. They're into illegal stuff. They do a lot of things. It's like this: if you're in mainland China, out in the province, and you have a cousin in Hong Kong that you have never ever known, if that cousin supposedly arrives in New York City, and you come along behind this to New York City behind this person you've never known, you just know you have a cousin. You don't go through the social agencies in Manhattan to find that person. The tongs find that person. That's how thorough they are. And that's what we did before we got into integration, when our families were intact. We functioned to a certain degree in a similar vein. The other point I want to hit on is in the Jumbotron, I took the liberty of posting two YouTube videos. One is about, I'm sure some of you know it, the Bill Moyer special, the Vanishing Black Family. It was made in '86. And then the other one is elders speaking about how they remember as children the welfare people coming to the family and saying, well, we'll help you, but your father has to go. So I posted those two videos, and if anyone hasn't seen them, they're short, and they will be certainly enlightening, and I'll land my plane with that.
All right, thank you. We appreciate you speaking again. Demi, go ahead and unmute your mic. Before you speak, Demi, let me go ahead and thank ADW and Michelle for their contribution on Cash Apps to Newstoter and the New Black Media. It is greatly appreciated. Thank you guys again. Appreciate that donation so much. Go ahead, Demi, and speak.
Thank you, and I'll go back. I'll go down to listening after this. I wanted to piggyback off of something Ray said about solutions to our children being in the system, because it's harder than you think, Ray. Because not only did I apply to be an adoptive parent, also a foster parent, just if I could just save one little Negro child, right? I was willing to do that. Just trying if I could just save one, right? But I was denied. That's the way it goes. And then I tried to go around the back door to the system, and I tried to apply for an SBA loan for a group house I was going to purchase a house and turn the home into pretty much a place for Negro children. And if the parents made it out of the system, great. If they fixed themselves, great. But if they didn't, these children was going to become mine. And the county I lived in, every 30 days, every 90 days, they have the list up where you can see who the SBA loans go to. And I tell you, every time I try, it's all the funds are always gone. And it's funny because they say that program, SBA, is supposed to go to minorities. It's a program set up mainly for the descendants of slaves. That's why it was created. But if you look at who the money go to, you be like, what? Asians, Hispanics, white women get this funding based on the fact that they are, air quotes, minority. But they're not doing anything for Black children, Black people, anything in our community. So you may be right. Maybe I need to look into maybe getting family help or my tribe's help to create this foundation. But because the school system and all these white supremacist systems, they not for us, and we know that. So I'm with tomboyish. I'm with her. Why do we keep asking them? I'm more of a solutionist, and I practice that. Like, I see the system is set up against my kids, so I'm just gonna take her out. That's the solution for me, and I'm just gonna make a sacrifice, right? So I think Tomboy is right. We need to come together and be a head of protection around our children. What are we going to do next? Because it's going to be a lot of children unwanted. And I hate to have to say that word, unwanted, because who wouldn't want a little baby, right? But there's going to be a lot of bitter mothers who willingly give their children over to the system based off of not being allowed to continue to get abortions. And I hate to have to say that, but because it's a lot of thought process in our community, they're going to turn that rage against the children. And they're going to end up in the system. And for me, I would go, now that Roe versus Wade is over, let's talk about, can we get the qualifications for fostering children and adopting children? Can we get that changed? Can we now become eligible? Because the more melanin you got, the less likely you can adopt children. And that's a fact. That is evident fact. You can look that up everywhere, in every state around the country. It doesn't matter if you're making millions of dollars, they will deny you. So I'm interested in, forget same sex. Can we change some laws on if we can get our children out of these systems? And I'll land there and go down so others can speak.
I agree, sister. I think it's a certain amount of things that we need. We need better political representation, and we need get our finances up to par as well. I think if we could get those two things together, because let's be for real, the political representation we have right now with the Black Caucus and so many Black elected officials throughout this country, they're really not representing us as a people, our interests. So we don't get the kind of representation from our elected officials that say the Latinos get. So it's really up to that, and it's up to us also getting our finances up to count. Like, I keep saying this, and we keep saying, but we have these people educating our kids, and we have these people providing medical assistance to us, and we have these people housing us and feeding us. And the only way that we're going to be able to actually do some of this stuff ourselves, to actually feed ourselves, to educate our kids and stuff like that, is to actually get our finances up, and that's gonna in turn taking us doing some group economics together, coming together and creating that black dollar. We have to start looking at trying to create a multi-level corporation ourselves, where we are individual stockholders, and we're going out here, we're purchasing land, and we're going out here and we're building apartments and housing, and we're building restaurants, and we're creating industries and stuff like that. And until we start doing this, we're going to continue to lag behind. So we're not going to be able to educate ourselves. We're not going to be able to feed ourselves. We should have farms in this country right now that we feed ourselves. We don't need anybody. We don't need to worry about, unless, we do trade with foreign countries and stuff like that, that we feed ourselves, that we don't need to rely on these people like that. So until we get that to the point like this here, that we can actually educate our kids, we can get better maternal health for our women and stuff like that. For the men, we die, black men, we die quicker than any other group in this country. We tend to die before anybody else until we start looking like that. And that in turn also goes to impacting our family structure as well. We're going to continue to suffer. And we've had some of the elders go ahead and lay out beautiful blueprints that we refuse to listen to. We have such a distrust and don't believe in one another's capabilities that we ourselves are stopping ourselves from actually reaching this. We are the actual heart and soul of this country. We're the one that gives the culture and whatnot. Yeah, we can give the country and we can get a world culture, but we can't use that culture to benefit ourselves. Only in small increments. Everything else, mainstream America, white society, they control and they own. But we ourselves, we can't do that. We sitting up here and we come up with reasons and excuses not to even try. So it's very disheartening. But we have the capability. We have the people in place. We know that we have the dollar that we can stretch and we can do it like that if we're willing to go ahead and buy in. So it's up to us, man. If we really want to seriously start to make a better America for us and our people, we need to actually look into doing that. Fear this one, you're next. Go ahead and unmute your mic.
Yeah, I wanted to add on to what I think one of the brothers was saying about talking about the Chinatowns, stuff like that, Germantown. But I want to say this, and this is very much a very very imperative, and it's very paramount if we look at it. We got to understand that in the history of America, in this country, we have had multiples to the tens to the hundreds of black townships. They were called like freedmen townships, mutual aid societies. We had hospitals. We had our own schooling. We were doing the things that was about broadening ourselves on the platform of having our own and doing for our own. But due to the government took down a lot of stuff through the detentions dealing with race and just jealousy, envious. And I would really not so much just advocate, but really be fortified to explain, we need to get back to our history of what we had in this country. We proved that we can have our own townships. But now we have most of those right now all on record being underwater, or our parks or burnt down, and it just makes no ever sense. So we did everything that's been in this country. Chinatown ain't got nothing on us. Germantown ain't got nothing on us. What other town has nothing on us? We did the damn thing in this country. We need to get back to all that stuff because that is what promoted us to be where we were supposed to be right after Reconstruction. During the time of that point, we had all of everything you could imagine being built for us, and we had advocacy in the government through some of the white politicians, Republicans. They were advocating for us to have us to get on our feet, because nobody just to look at somebody to just get out of prison for 30 years and say, okay, you're free now, or yeah, you're innocent. And okay, so how the hell am I going to, take on the world or take on where I am in my own surroundings, my locale, where I don't have the resources, or I don't have a car to get to a job or a house, or it's just like we got to put it into a framework of who we have been in this country, and that's everybody needs to know that. If not, I mean, still we have sources. Be the Power does a lot of shows. We need to get back to knowing what we had in this country, and we need to advocate for that, not anything else, because we had everything we can imagine to be what we were supposed to be in this country, America. We're the day one citizens and everything else. So we had, with the remedies and old school remedies, schooling. Can't nobody teach us but us. So there's no like where we need other type, you know. And I would look at integration became because of that, because hell, being trickle down to not having anything or into shreds or pieces, we, you know, it became that the assimilation started coming in. Then we just resorted to integration, and you know, MLK tried to bring it back as far as for who we were and what was lost and the Homestead Act, stuff like that. We had all everything, yeah, all that stuff, man. So we need to get back to that, man. I don't advocate for Chinatowns. Anywhere in the world, you're gonna come from a whole nother place in the world and then survive. But tell me that we can't do the same damn thing, because we did the same damn thing. We did it even better, and the culture we have in this country. So I don't want to hear nothing else about that. But I know if we do talk about that, cool. But I know we had our own in this country, and it's recorded. You got some places right now are lakes right now, and those were townships that we had down below. Got churches, housing, whatever, still there right now. So let me just land the plane.